everyone, and welcome to the California Department of Education's Literacy Knowledge Building video series. In this video, we will learn about the purpose and best practices of interventions in coaching. For this video, be sure to download the handouts located on California Educators Together. The Literacy Knowledge Building video series is a series of videos on critical topics in literacy birth through grade 12. It was developed by the California Department of Education and literacy experts from the state literacy team, and it is complementary to the work of the Federal Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grants. You can learn more about this grant by going to https://www.cde.ca.gov/pd/ps/clsd.asp. This video series is intended to provide guidance and resources on critical topics in literacy, to support the work of the CLSD grants, and to build coherence between California's literacy guidance documents, standards, and frameworks and how they all support literacy. A primary objective of the CLSD grant is to bring coherence between California's guiding documents, some of which you see here, like the Preschool Learning Foundations, the Infant Toddler Learning and Development Foundations, the Practitioner's Guide for Educating English Learners with Disabilities, the Dyslexia Guidelines, and the English Learner Roadmap Policy. Other content area standards and frameworks support literacy as well. The videos produced in this series will illustrate the connections between all of these documents and also explain how the documents themselves support literacy development for our students. Videos will be produced over the course of the CLSD grant period. To be informed when new videos are posted, join the CLSD listserv by sending a blank email to join-cde-literacy@mlist.cde.ca.gov. And now I will turn it over to our presenters.
Welcome to the video on interventions in coaching, purpose and best practices. This video will be brought to you by the following people listed on this slide: Lucy Pearson Edwards, Director of Continuous Improvement and Academic Support; Mindy Montano, English teacher on special assignment; Nancy Cushion White, Clinical Professor of Pediatrics; and Nancy Rogers Ziguera, Editor of the California Reader and Teacher Leader. Each of us is bringing varying perspectives and experience to thinking in this presentation. This presentation is based on resources on the CDE website and in the English Language Arts, English Language Development, ELA/ELD framework. The outline for this presentation is in 3 parts. Section 1 is the use of assessments to inform intervention decisions and purposes of interventions. Section 2 is how to use data as a coach. We will be role-playing a coaching conversation, specifically addressing what questions to ask when holding a data conversation and how to put students into intervention groups. Section 3 will focus on what coaches can do to foster progress monitoring, observation, model lessons, and checkpoints. School teams are encouraged to stop the video at any time and discuss the ideas presented. There will be several pause and ponder points where it is highly recommended that viewers stop the video and read handout materials and/or apply the information to their classroom or school data. Our learning targets for all sections of the videos: to establish purpose of assessment, establish purpose of interventions, review key ideas about using assessment cycles to form intervention groups, model a coaching session, establish best practices for grouping students, review best practices for implementation of progress monitoring.
In this section, section 1, we will explore the purpose and importance of using assessment data to inform interventions. We'll explore the purpose of assessments and the purpose of interventions. Data truly informs our thinking. Ken Blanchard states, "People without information cannot act. People with information cannot help but act." On this slide, we'll see the 3 tiers of intervention modeled in the pyramid for interventions. As we know, California MTSS is built on the premise that universal support, or tier 1, shown at the bottom of this pyramid, is provided for all students, while recognizing that some students may need additional support to be successful at tiers 2 and tiers 3. Tier 1 includes screening assessments, classroom intervention, differentiated instruction by developmental levels, and learning types. Tier 1 is at the bottom of the pyramid. In the middle of the pyramid is Tier 2, small group interventions for some students who need extra support in addition to Tier 1. And Tier 3, recognized at the top of the pyramid, is for individualized intensive intervention in addition to Tier 2 and Tier 1 supports. To dive into the bottom portion of the 3 tiers of intervention pyramid, we're going to be focusing on Tier 1, the largest portion of the pyramid. We will be analyzing a series of beginning of the year foundational literacy student assessments and using this information to form Tier 1 interventions. We're now going to get into the purpose of assessment to inform the planning of instruction and intervention. For every child in every classroom and at all grade levels, screening or finding a baseline of student skills is a critical first step in the systematic identification of students' instructional needs. This screening is also the first step in identifying students who need further evaluation for the informed planning of effective intervention. Beginning in kindergarten and continuing yearly, evidence-based and user-friendly screening tools have the potential to help educators support students' needs early by providing reliable data that will inform the choice of effective early intervention and classroom instruction. This information comes from the English Language Arts, English Language Development, or ELA/ELD framework and the dyslexia guidelines. To continue the purpose of assessment to inform the planning of instruction and intervention, for each grade level, it is important for assessments to target the following. First off, phonemic awareness, then letter naming, symbol sound and sound symbol association, single word decoding of real and predictable pseudo words, real word recognition, rapid naming of letters and digits, spelling, listening comprehension and oral expression, reading comprehension, oral reading fluency, both accuracy, prosody, and even rate, written expression, including handwriting. And again, this list comes from the ELA/ELD framework and the dyslexia guidelines. To continue the purpose of assessment to inform the planning of instruction and intervention, the foremost purpose of assessment, such as screening, progress monitoring, is to inform the planning of effective instruction in order to narrow and eventually eliminate any gap between student performance and expectations. Continuous and careful monitoring of student progress is necessary to ensure that instructional approaches and interventions are appropriate and effective. This information comes again from the ELA/ELD framework in Chapter 8. To continue with the purpose of assessment to inform the planning of instruction and intervention, ongoing assessment includes monitoring a student's learning during the teaching of a lesson, following the teaching of a lesson while planning the next one, analysis of classroom work with and without teacher support or across a longer period of time. Planning for changes to instruction must be based on analysis that integrates all factors relevant to the student's progress. Again, this information comes from Chapter 8 in the ELA/ELD framework. To continue with the purpose of assessment to inform instructional planning and possible interventions, assessment results are used to inform planning of evidence-based intervention that specifically targets performance and rate of progress. When a student is not making timely adequate progress, the intervention, as well as the degree of intensity in the delivery of the intervention, must be reevaluated. This information comes again from the ELA/ELD framework and the dyslexia guidelines. To continue on with the purpose of assessment to inform instructional planning and possible interventions, when a student is identified as needing intervention, the need for a higher level of intensity must be determined. There are a variety of ways to increase intensity of instruction, such as smaller group setting, more highly trained professionals, increase the number of sessions per week, more minutes per session, or the use of more rigorous or targeted instructional approach or program. Again, this information comes from the ELA/ELD framework and the dyslexia guidelines.
So the purpose of coaching for intervention. can be found in Chapter 11 of the ELA-ELD framework, and that makes a strong case for coaching. In the golden box on this slide, you find a quote that can be found on page 972. Distributed leadership is closely connected to professional learning and included professional collaborations, coaching, and data-driven decision-making, as well as opportunities for teachers to share their expertise in more formal ways. Coaching provides many benefits for all learners involved. Investigating various models of instruction, evaluating appropriate types, methods of assessments, formative, summative, diagnostic, and screening, exploring short, medium, and long cycles of assessment, and supporting students strategically through the use of specific intervention. Good purposeful assessment goes hand in hand with using data to inform coaching decisions that will in turn inform successful interventions. This can be found in Chapter 11 of the ELA-ELD framework. Continuing with the purpose of coaching for intervention, found in Chapter 11 of the ELA-ELD framework, tells us that successful communities of practice include teachers working together to reflect on their practice, forming social and professional bonds, develop shared understandings about practice and work to refine particular practices, such as what is working, what could be used to improve, and how can we better monitor our practices. Successful communities of practice also collaborate on problems of practice using evidence, such as student work and assessment data. The purpose of coaching for intervention continues. Successful communities of practice include teachers working together to view their teaching from a critical stance, confront challenging topics such as failed lessons tried, and engage in difficult conversations, their attitudes and beliefs about students. Successful communities also provide mutual support and accountability to each other. They learn to deal constructively with conflict, and they focus on their improvement to achieve student improvement. Lastly, our purpose for coaching and intervention, we have a quote from the ELA-ELD framework from Chapter 11, page 985 in the golden box on the slide. Student data serve as the catalyst for action and further research and professional collaborations. Analysis of data leads to examination of instruction as well and is systematically connected to cycles of planning and teaching related to specific learning needs. Coaching is an outgrowth or part of these collegial structures and can take many forms. A mentor, someone who shares knowledge of skills or experience. An instructional coach, someone who provides guidance and helps teachers set goals to improve. A peer coach, someone of equal status, could be two teachers on the same team helping each other out. Or supervisory coaching, where professional coaches get support from each other. Using one or more of these forms, a coach will document the following: modeling sessions, observations of teaching, and providing feedback to the individual. So we encourage you to continue to deepen your learning. In the next part of our slide presentation, you'll continue learning about interventions and coaching in Section 2. Section 2 will cover the following: how to use data as a coach, what questions to ask when holding a data conversation, and how to better organize intervention groups.
Thank you for viewing this video on interventions and coaching. Watch Section 2 in the series to continue your learning, and make sure to watch the other videos in the series, which you can access by going to the CDE website and searching for CLSD.